Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Um, right, not the best of starts to the day, I'm afraid. I got up this morning, came to the computer, bought up the Notepad app on the computer on the PC, which has obviously got all the notes on that I've made throughout the week, and mostly from yesterday, and it was blank. Somehow or somewhere along the line, between last night at about 9:30 and this morning, either I had accidentally deleted it or the computer had done it. Um, so I've basically had to go over the whole thing again, get the notes all typed up again, and I'm really hoping that I've not missed anything. So if I promised to do something this week and I don't do it, please forgive me. I'm literally working blind with this. Um, there are quite a few bits and pieces that I know I was going to be talking about this week, but I can't for the life of me remember what they were. So please bear with me. I'll do the best that I can. I want to scoot this one through as quickly as possible, because it's now, what are we on now? It's gone 10 o'clock. Um, Hopefully I'll be safe because it is absolutely pissing it down outside. So hopefully there won't be much movement on either side of the house because I don't think they're going to want to leave the place. So um, hopefully this should go okay, but I will sort of scoot through as quickly as possible with this one. So I'm hoping to bring it in at under an hour, but we'll see how we go. As I say, not the best of starts, but let's see how we go. I'll start with comments as usual. David Mansell, morning David. Awesome video as always, cheers mate. Can't wait to do my updated Blu-ray collection video, especially Cursed Films, which is great. I loved that series. I keep meaning to grab a copy on Blu-ray. If you've not seen it, Cursed Films is absolutely amazing. It centres on movies like The Omen, The Exorcist, even The Wizard of Oz is in there. Poltergeist, I believe, is another one. Really, really good series, focusing on the folklore and the legends behind these, the making of these movies, which were or did seem to be cursed at the time. It's a cracking series. If you get a chance to watch any of them, I believe it's streaming on. It was on Prime or Shudder. I can't remember which it was. It might even have been Netflix. A pretty broad spectrum in it, but it was streaming, which is where I watched it. So, but if you get the chance to have a look, fascinating stuff. David says, I remember the Bravo channel. If I remember correctly, they screened the A Team and Manimal. Yes, they did. I'm fairly sure they did. It was a cracking channel. It's basically the equivalent of what we've got now with the, is it That's TV, Great TV, Gold, all that kind of thing. It was all classic old sort of British and American series. It was a cracking channel. Really used to love it. Used to love the intro music, as I said last week, and the image of the old Wellington warplane flying over war-torn London with the spotlights going like this and that gorgeous music they used to play. Yeah, I enjoyed the Bravo channel. So thanks for that, David. Much appreciated. Gareth, morning, Gareth. You put thanks. The Rothrock interview went very well. The one I did with stuntman Rocky Taylor didn't, though, as it had audio problems with it being done over the phone. Most go according to plan, though. I did enjoy the Cynthia Rothrock interview, mostly because I had actually heard of her. I'm not familiar with Rocky Taylor. I'm assuming he's a martial artist. I'm only guessing. But I'll be catching up with your videos hopefully this week. I'm definitely going to be watching your vinyl soundtrack video hopefully later this morning, as I'm fairly sure I'm going to have some thoughts on that, and I'm fairly certain that it will fire me up to go and dig out some more of mine. I need to go through places that I've not been through, because I'm fairly sure the last time I showed them off I came to the end of it, and I'm fairly sure that I thought, you know, I'm sure I had loads more. So there's a stash of them somewhere within the house, that I do need to find. But yes, I will be checking that one out. I'm really looking forward to that one. So thanks for the comment, Gareth. Much appreciated, mate. Stuart George, morning, Stu. Unbreakable is great. We were talking about Unbreakable, which I believe is a Samuel L. Jackson movie. I've not seen it, but I've had one or two people mention it to me and say that it is worth a look. Split and Glass, I'm not keen on, to be honest, and Unbreakable didn't need to be stretched into a trilogy. And yet the other people that I've spoken to enjoyed all three. So I will have a look at all three. Not really looking forward to Split that much, and I don't know why, but alarm bells are ringing with that one. But I will take them in, most definitely. What's your favourite decade for sci-fi, you ask? 70s. No question, 100% the 1970s. I love sci-fi from the 70s. It is colourful, it's bright. It can also be dark and brooding. I mean, I'm looking at classics like, and I've got them all down, sort of noted down here. Close Encounters, obviously, which is my favourite ever. Time After Time with Malcolm McDowell and Mary Steenburgen, David Warner, that was cracking. Logan's Run, brilliant. Alien, nasty as hell at the time, but really, really good. Star Wars, total stone cold classic. Westworld, saw that years ago, loved it, absolutely loved it. Star Trek the Motion Picture, less said about that one the better, but I enjoyed it. The Man Who Fell to Earth, weird as fuck, but really, really good. Bowie at his best. And Demon Seed, which caused quite a stink when it first came out. Julie Christie and I think Max von Sydow. I think it's Max von Sydow. It's a cracking movie. If you've not seen it, it's a very difficult movie to describe. Imagine HAL from 2001 being an actual mobile computer and somehow assaulting Julie Christie in her home. It's bizarre. It's really, really bizarre, but really, really good. And there's also ones that I've not seen from the 70s that I desperately need to catch up with. Silent Running, which I bought on 4K about 2 years ago and swore that I'd watch straight away. Never got round to that. Soylent Green, I've got that one. The Omega Man, I've got that one. The Andromeda Strain, got it but never seen it. THX 1138, I bought that fairly recently. That was, I think it was George Lucas's directorial debut, that one. And Dark Star, one of John Carpenter's very, very first films. It was basically a college project. That's how it started. And Dan O'Bannon was involved in that, who was involved with Alien years later. So that's another one that I need to take in. But there are so many classic movies from the 70s, but sci-fi definitely. Favourite decade, 70s, absolutely no question. So thanks for that, mate. Let's see, what else have I got here? Loved your New York movies list, by the way. Absolutely brilliant. I just loved pretty much every title in there. I forgot to read this comment out last weekend, actually. We were talking about New York movies. I think you commented on mine. And I realised at the end of recording last week, so I'd completely forgotten to read this comment out. You put, I love Saturday Night Fever. It's more than just a disco film. Teen angst and John Travolta is so cool, walking with the paint can down the street at the start. It's just so cool, man. It absolutely was, and still is. And listening to you talking about Saturday Night Fever on your list, you've obviously got the same sort of love for that film as I have. As I've said before, I think you had to be around at the time that it came out, 1977, to really appreciate just how bloody cool that thing was. And just how dark it was as well. As I've said before, everybody thinks it's this cutesy little disco movie. Far from it. It's a nasty film in parts. It really is. And there are scenes in there and dialogue in there that absolutely would not fly nowadays. But a cracking film. And as I say, you've obviously got the same love for it as I had. And Rosemary's Baby. And Ruth Gordon, what an absolute legend that woman is. Got one to show you here, actually, just bear with me. If you've not seen it and you like Ruth Gordon, check out this movie, Harold and Maude. She's absolutely superb in this. Plays a dotty old lady who basically spends most of her time at other people's funerals, people she's never met. And there she meets a young man who has the same pastime, basically turning up at other people's funerals. They form a friendship. It's a lovely film. It's got the most amazing Cat Stevens soundtrack, which I think you'll get a real kick out of. If you like 70s, movies and 70s music, this is absolutely superb. Harold and Maude, Ruth Gordon, and I believe Bud Cort. Superb. And if you're a reader, and I don't know whether you are or not, I am, I would highly recommend this if you're into Ruth Gordon. This is her autobiography, My Side, the autobiography of Ruth Gordon. I've only read part of this. It's a well-worn book. I actually got it second-hand. You can see it's all a bit tatty, but I love books like this. It basically means that it's been read many, many times and enjoyed many times because of the state of it. So if you get a chance and you're a reader, I would highly recommend grabbing a copy of this. I think you can get it fairly cheap on Amazon. I think this cost me about £7. With postage, I think it was about 10. But from what I've read so far, this lady definitely lived the life. And what I need to do is start it again and just finish it off. So highly recommended there, mate. If you are a Ruth Gordon fan, just pop that there. What else have I got? Looking forward, by the way, and I'm going to be doing this later on this morning. Hopefully, when I get this finished, is watching your black and white movies video list. Basically, a list of movies that you've got that were made in black and white and that are in your collection. And I'm fairly sure that I'm going to be nicking that idea off you for a video of mine very, very shortly. You also asked me last week for my favourite TV movies and miniseries. Now, I concentrated on American ones. I think the ones I mentioned were Trilogy of Terror, if I remember correctly, which was a horror movie, a bit like Creepshow. And my favourite miniseries was Hollywood Wives, the Jackie Collins adaptation. I've got two here that are British TV movies. Now, I've shown these off before, so guys, forgive me if I'm repeating myself a bit here, but I suddenly thought, you know what? The British did TV movies as well, and they did some damn good ones. The two that I've picked that I would class as my favourite, not counting stuff like Play for Today and all that sort of thing, because they did do some cracking plays back in the 70s. But if we're talking feature-length movies, try this one. If you've not seen it, Threads. Possibly one of the most nightmarish visions I think I've ever seen of what a possible nuclear strike on Sheffield would look like and the aftermath. I do remember watching this. It would have been about 1983 or 4 when it came out. I think this pretty much gave the whole country nightmares. It was done fairly sort of documentary style. Oh, shocking, absolutely shocking. I want to watch this one again. This is why I grabbed a Blu-ray copy of it, and it's got quite a few extras on this as well. I will be taking a look at it again, but I've got to be in the right mood for this one. If there's one movie guaranteed to put a dampener on your day and to put you in on a right downer, Threads is the one. It is shocking stuff. Really, really good. Extremely well made. A little bit too real for me, but that's one. And the other one, I've shown this one off quite a few times. In 1992, the BBC broadcast a play, a drama, which a lot of the country took for being real. The problem was a lot of viewers tuned in 5-10 minutes into the movie, and with it being done in the style of a live broadcast, an outside live broadcast, they took it for real. It starred Michael Parkinson, Sarah Green, Craig Charles, Mike Smith, quite a few others, so it looked the part, and obviously I am talking about Ghostwatch. I still remember now my mate ringing me up just after this had started and basically said to me, "What are you watching?" And I said, some Hammer film on BBC Two. Why? He says, "Put BBC One on. There's something on it. You'll absolutely love it. Just put it on right now." Hung the phone up, put this on, was drawn into it, hook, line and sinker. I genuinely thought this was real. You watch it now and obviously you see things that you didn't see back then and think, how the fucking hell did I ever think this was a genuine broadcast? But this, again, scared half the country. It caused an absolute mountain of controversy. People complaining, mostly because they were fooled by it. They were basically taken in by it, and they were not happy about it. There was tales of pregnant women going into labour. There were tales of people committing suicide after watching it. And it got so bad that basically the BBC shelved it and said this will never be seen again. It has been released on DVD a few years ago. This is the, I think this is the BFI? No, it's a 101 Films release. And in this one, if you've not got it, I'll show you this very quickly because I've already shown it off. That's the Blu-ray disc that you get with it. You also get 2 books, which are, one of them is basically sort of excerpts from the script, complete with pictures, that kind of thing. You've also got the actual script by the looks of it. No pictures in this, just literally lines from the script. And you've also got a load of art cards, which I'm not going to take out, but you basically got a load of art cards that go with it. So that's Ghostwatch. So they are my 2 favourite British TV movies. Well, the ones that I can recall, let's put it that way. So that's just to draw that one to a close. Thanks ever so much for that, Stuart. Keep the questions coming, mate. I'm enjoying them. Steve Mack, our Criterion guy. Morning, Steve. I remember featuring The Proposition on a BFI preview video a few years ago. I have the 4K. Ray Winston also starred in it. I'm looking forward to taking a look at this. This is a movie that I had for my birthday a few weeks ago, and it was given to me by someone who I've discussed this film with many times, and she basically said that I thought that if I actually bought it you on Blu-ray, you'd actually watch it, and I will do. It's going on next month's watch list for sure. You also put, I agree on Daisy Ridley, she's not a great actor. We were talking about, what film is she starring in? See, this is it. I'd made a note of this last night when I put all this together, and it's disappeared on me. So we were talking about Daisy Ridley being in a movie, and I think Dave Lowe commented that she ruined Star Wars. And you obviously agree. So I need to check out a movie with Daisy Ridley in just to see how bad she actually is. So thanks for that, Steve. Much appreciated, mate. Jason K, our Ginger Ninja. Morning, Jay. Also, another awesome vid, Tony. Cheers, mate. Much appreciated. Lots of vinyl fans out there. It's made a huge resurgence of late. You only have to go into HMV nowadays to see that. The last time I was in HMV, I had a quick browse through the vinyl, especially the soundtracks. There are some beautiful vinyl records in there, absolutely brilliant. But the price of them, mate, 30 quid. I don't know what that is. It's Australian dollars, but it'll be a fuck's sight more than 30, I'm sure. It is just so expensive, and I don't remember vinyl being, that expensive in the 70s and 80s when we were collecting it. But yeah, it's definitely made a comeback. And I'm fairly sure that VHS is going to do the same over the next few years. I'm sure of it. But yeah, vinyl, I absolutely love it. I never got into the older Doctor Who. Well, is Tom Baker considered old? He is, I guess, because, I mean, he came into the role in 1974, I believe. And he was there for quite a few years. So yeah, I would class that as quite old, because that is like, is it 50 years? 84, 94, yeah, 50 years. So yeah, you could definitely class him as old. My Doctor, the one I grew up with, the first one I ever saw was John Pertwee. And the first time I ever saw Doctor Who was Spearhead from Space, which is the first Auton story. And the sight of those mannequins, those shop dummies, coming through the windows and blasting the hell out of everybody with these guns was terrifying, absolutely terrifying. And they got worse. You got like stories like the Green Death, the Sea Devils, the Demons. My God, it was like horror for kids. It was absolutely brilliant. You put, that was my intro to the Doctor, but I've always enjoyed it. I love old Who. I do absolutely love it. I'm now back on the Patrick Troughton era, with Tomb of the Cybermen, which I had through, I think it was last week, and absolutely loving it. I would much rather watch the older classic Doctor Who than the new ones, even though I do need to watch some of the newer ones just to basically catch up with it. But yeah, definitely. And Crack Coon, count me in with that one. That sounds absolutely amazing. This is the latest in the sort of drug-addled animal attack kind of movie. Started with Cocaine Bear, and then we had, it was Attack of the Meth Gator. There's been loads of them, but Crack Coon looks an absolute hoot. Saw the trailer to it. Yeah, count me in on that one, mate. Thanks ever so much, Jay. Much appreciated, mate. Always great to hear from you. Dave Taylor. Morning, Dave. Hi, Tony. We love the videos, warts and all. Not to worry about the odd stammer. Who cares? Keep them coming. Thanks, mate. Much appreciated. I'm doing my best not to talk about it or to think about it. And obviously I'm desperately trying not to will it into existence by continuing to talk about it, but it's just good to know that if it does happen, and it has happened a couple of times over the last 20 minutes, but nothing serious, but it's good to know that people are not bothered about it and basically don't care, and that's how I want to be with it going on, sort of thing. On your spooky car journeys thread, we were talking about travelling through woodland and stuff like that in the car late at night and how much it alarms me to do that. I travelled down to Redruth driving through the night some years ago. I used to plan my routes just by using a map back then. Sat-navs were a new thing. We got to either skirting or crossing Bodmin Moor. Bloody hell, Dave. It was between midnight and 12:30 a.m. Christ. Driving along this narrow road, no road markings, headlights on full, this mist and fog came rolling in just like in the Hammer horror movies. You could only see about 12 to 15 feet in front of you. I said to my mate, if we hit anything, I bloody ain't stopping. I wouldn't either, good God, not out in the middle of there. I've heard that's a terrifying place to drive through, especially at night. I've got a mate who did it years and years ago, and it takes a lot to scare him, but he said he was genuinely alarmed driving across there. So God knows what it was like at midnight. I dread to think. Japanese POW films, we were talking about these last week. I'd basically taken or got a copy of The Railway Man, and also a book called Surviving the Sword, which has sort of ignited a bit of an interest in POW camps, movies kind of things, Japanese ones. The one which comes to mind was a favourite of my dad's, King Rat. I've heard of this. It's about Allied prisoners in World War II in the Changi POW camp in Singapore. It's basically a story of what depths people will go to survive. My dad actually went to the Changi prison when he was in Singapore doing his national service. I bet that was a barrel of laughs. You then went on to describe there's a massive spider just crawled up the wall. Bloody hell. I'm going to try and ignore it, but I'm going to be keeping my eye on the damn thing. It's not that big, it's about this big, but to me it's big. You then went on to describe the Changi prison, which obviously your dad had told you about. Sounded grim, it didn't sound very nice at all, which I guess it's not meant to be. But I'll definitely be taking in King Rat. I've got a copy sorted out, so I'll be having a look at that one at some point. I may even take in The Bridge on the River Kwai, which I've also never seen. I was slightly put off by the comments in the book that I just started, basically saying that it's a work of complete fiction. Apart from the actual railway and the building of it, the movie, everything in it is just complete fiction. So it kind of put me off it. But I guess if I'm going to be taking in these POW camp movies, you have to do Bridge on the River Kwai and probably The Colditz Story. Oh, that's not Japanese, is it? Here we go. So thanks for that, Dave. Much appreciated, mate. It was brilliant to hear from you. Guy, here we go. Wahey. It's Sunday morning, 01:27 in the AM, and I'm pissed up. No. It's not like you at all, is it? Didn't get a chance to finish the vid till now. Whoops. Regarding the Doctor Who journey, stop buying DVDs. All of Classic Who is on BBC iPlayer, so stop spending your cash needlessly, bellend. Get to the point, guy. Stop. What was I going to say then? There it goes. There it goes. Whatever it was, it just went, oh, out, gone. Say it as you see it, guys. It's got to be something like that, wasn't it? Fucking hell, that was a great gig. Gotta love private parties with hospitality. By hospitality, I'm gathering you mean loads of beer. Soundtracks. I recommend Hans Zimmer's work. The Hannibal original soundtrack is awesome, atmospheric and beautiful with spoken word dialogue by Hopkins himself. Check it out. I will definitely do that. I will find it on Spotify and I'll give it a listen. Right, need food. Nice one, our kid. Cheers, guy. Much appreciated. Glad you enjoyed your gig, mate, and it's always good to hear from you as per usual. Let's see. Mark, what time are we on? 25 minutes. Mark, morning, Mark. Morning, Captain. Morning, soldier. Signs. It's a crime you've not seen this movie. Give your head a wobble and get it on that watch list. What, like that? Is that kind of thing you mean? I will do it. I will definitely do it. In fact, I might even invest in the 4K that is due for release pretty much any week now. I'll give that some thought. Me and Zoe love the Unbreakable, Split and Glass trilogy. Like a lot of women, my wife can be a bit batshit crazy at times, and she'll always joke and say, "That wasn't me, that was Patricia," which is a line from Split, which just goes to confirm that I probably wouldn't like it, but I'm going to give it a go. I will do. Obviously, I know the movie The Fly, but I've never seen it. Will it be on my never seen it list? I think it's gory and nasty enough to work well with you. I know it was made in 1986, which is nearly 40 years ago, but it was a nasty movie back then, and I think it's still going to hold up now. I think you should definitely put it on your never seen it list. I think it's awful enough for you to say, actually, that wasn't bad. But yeah, I'd be curious of that. If you're never going to watch The Railway Man, send it my way so I don't have to buy it. You cheapskate. Because it's not on any streaming service. Unbroken is a great film. True story as well about the American Olympian Louis Zamperini and one of the Japanese generals. Here we go. Mutsuhiro Watanabe. Bleeding hell, murdered that one. AKA The Bird. He was a right horrible bastard. Something tells me I'm not going to enjoy either of these films. So I get the feeling that The Railway Man will probably be coming your way at some point. I could be wrong. I mean, if I do decide to keep it, I do apologise, but I get the feeling this is going to be a movie that I'm going to watch once and just say I've seen it now. That's it. But we shall see. I enjoyed the Pet Sematary reboot, but for me, you can never go wrong with anything with John Lithgow in it. Great actor. Couldn't agree more, mate. Could not agree more. It was brilliant in, what have I got of it? Twilight Zone, the movie. Absolutely superb as the overly nervous plane passenger. Brilliant. And also Raising Cain, which was a Brian De Palma film. I believe it followed up Blowout. It was excellent in that. What else has he been in? Oh yeah, not to mention Footloose, obviously, and Santa Claus the movie, both of which he was superb in. So yeah, John Lithgow is a class act. Absolutely, completely agree with you. Great video, same time next week. Absolutely, mate. I shall certainly be here. Hopefully with less drama. It's difficult to know where to go with this. Do I now need to just make the notes before I actually do the thing? Because it must have took me a good hour and a half to do it last night, and to wake up this morning to find the whole document blank was just bloody heartbreaking. This would have been recorded and in the can and in the editing process by now if everything had worked out right, but as I say, it's now gone 10:30. So yeah, I may have to do it slightly differently. But yes, I will be here same time next week, mate. Thanks ever so much for joining me and for the comments. Right, I'm going to take a quick break and I'll be back in a second. And we're back. Right. Oh, bollocks. And we're back. Right, on with the comments. Sam, morning Sam, from Sammy's World of Cinema. Hello Tone, good morning mate, great video as always. Thanks a lot mate, and good morning to you too. I think I may have had a keyboard hiccup the other week when I said I don't get bucket loads of enjoyment from Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, because I get loads of enjoyment from both of those films. Super fun, goofy time. Also, Batman Forever has got a banging soundtrack. That sounds like another one I need to grab off Spotify and have a listen to. So I had a feeling that's what you meant, but I wasn't sure. I try not to interfere with the notes too much, if you know what I mean. I only correct them if I think, it'll make it easier for me to say. But I did think that's what you meant, so I kind of got that. I'm definitely going to be on the lookout for the film Times Square, mate. Now you've given me a rundown of the soundtrack, I'll definitely be on the hunt for that film. Thanks for the awesome recommendation. It's a cracking movie, it really is. It is also quite rare nowadays, so you may pay sort of over the odds for it a bit, but it's absolutely worth it. I know there are Blu-ray copies of it out there, because I was looking at one myself, but it was something like 40 quid. And I can't really justify it at the moment. I get the feeling that at some point it will get a re-release. I believe a different boutique label have picked up a lot of networks titles, which means that at some point I'm fairly sure that Times Square will hopefully get a re-release, and that's when you'll be able to grab a copy. But you absolutely will not be disappointed. It's a brilliant movie, and the soundtrack, as you put it, is banging. Absolutely. I shall also be looking to check out Music Within before the month is up. I am definitely going to do the same. It will go on next month's watch list, which will be October. So yeah, I definitely want to watch it. For saying it's a movie that I'd never ever heard anything of, it just looked amazing. I watched the trailer and thought that looks absolutely superb. So yeah, that will be on my watch list next month. Can't wait to see more music related stuff in the future, Tone, and you showcasing one album per week. That sounds great. That's how I did it the last time. I'll probably end up showing off the ones that I've already shown off, but as I say, I do need to have a little bit of a hunt around the house, because I am sure that I had a fair old collection years ago, and I don't remember selling any or giving any away. I could have done, but I don't remember doing that. And if that's the case, I've got quite a collection hanging around somewhere, so I will find them, so leave that with me. I need to do something music related again for my channel soon. Maybe a possible vinyl update with what has made inroads into my collection over the past few months. Look forward to that. I always look forward to your videos, and I love the way that we all chat to each other via these videos. I think it's great. It's one of the things I look forward to the most during the week, because I know obviously you guys watch these and you comment on them. You, Sam, obviously you do your videos, and we're basically talking to each other via these videos, and you've also sent me a couple of lovely voice messages over Messenger this week, which are always good to hear. Let's see, you've been to see The Substance at the Tyneside. I can't wait to hear a full review of that. You've basically told me that it is batshit crazy, which is what I've heard. I'm not sure it's a movie that I've got the stomach for. I'm not the best with body horror. I even shy away from some of the earlier David Cronenberg movies because they are so explicit. But it's next level explicit nowadays. It really is, and I find a lot of it difficult to watch. But who knows? I may grab a copy and think, what, to hell with it. Everybody else has seen it, so I might as well take a look. But whether I'll actually make it through the whole thing is another matter. But yeah, I love the way we talk to each other via these. I think it's great. I literally just picked up that Star Wars Special Edition VHS set yesterday in a charity shop in Whitley Bay. £2 for Star Wars on VHS. What a bargain. Absolutely it was. £2. You can't fault that. I think I paid, I think it was £7 something for mine, not including postage. I think it was probably about £9, including postage. But it'll probably just sit there. Whether I'll actually watch it again, I don't know. I mean, I've got a VHS player from years ago, which is connected up, but it all seems easier to watch sort of the Blu-rays or the 4Ks, that kind of thing. But I just remembered having those years ago, and I really wanted them again. So that's why I got them. But yeah, £2 for that set is an absolute bargain, mate. Also picked up the VHS for Platoon, for the sum of 10p. Now that is a bargain. I haven't seen Platoon for years. I do remember it being particularly nasty, really, really brutal, especially when they march into a Viet Cong village. I do remember being pretty horrified by that. It's not a movie. It's one I wouldn't mind seeing again, but I get the feeling that once I've seen it this time, that'll be it. But I will be taking it in at some point. I've never seen Scum. It's high up on my watch list. Came out the same year as one of my favourite films ever, Quadrophenia. It actually came out on a double bill, believe it or not, with Quadrophenia back in the day. Would have been about 1980, 1981. That was a powerful double feature. Quadrophenia was just amazing. Scum, nasty as fuck. Really, really nasty. It was just I thought it was a really mean-spirited film, and if that was a true reflection of what the Borstal system was like back then, I'm not surprised they reformed it a couple of years later due to the impact that movie had. Not surprised at all. It's a tough watch, Sam, a really, really tough watch, but I'd highly recommend it. It's really, really well done, and obviously you'll see a lot of future stars in there. Phil Daniels, Ray Winston, Ray Burdiss. There's quite a few in there that you'll spot and think, oh yeah, I know those. But yeah, I'd definitely be curious to hear your thoughts on that one if you get around to watching it. Pale Rider is a solid Clint Eastwood western, mate. Watched that last month and need to check out the other two films in that Eastwood box set. So yeah, I think I watched The Outlaw Josie Wales, so I've yet to watch Pale Rider and Unforgiven, and you've got the other two to watch. Also the other two films in the Dollars trilogy, which are, I believe, A Fistful of Dollars and For a Few Dollars More. Superb. All three are absolutely brilliant. I was so impressed. I do remember the first one being a little bit difficult to follow. It had a plot that had a lot of twists and turns in it, and I kept having to go back a few minutes and I don't get this. Why is this happening? Quite complicated, but really, really good. And I will definitely be watching all three again, and I will be checking out Pale Rider and Unforgiven very, very soon, as probably as part of my never seen it thread, or first watch thread, as I think I'm calling it. Tomb of the Cybermen is my all-time favourite Doctor Who story tone, and it stars my favourite Doctor in the classic era, Patrick Troughton. Wonderful story, love the eerie atmosphere, love watching classic Who at this time of year. Going to be re-watching The Demons with Pertwee over the weekend. You're in for a treat with that. I mean, you've seen it before, obviously, because you say re-watching. That, to me, is one of the absolute classics of original old Who, which I love, absolutely love. And I am enjoying Tomb of the Cybermen. I'm one episode in. I'll watch another one hopefully later today, or at the very latest next weekend, and I'll give you my full thoughts on it when I've actually watched the whole thing. But thoroughly enjoyed that first episode, and you're quite right about the eerie atmosphere. It's just really, really well done. And Patrick Troughton is definitely growing on me, absolutely growing on me. I love the guy. I thought he was superb in he played Father Brennan in The Omen. And he's done quite a few other bits and pieces, but I remember him from The Omen and obviously classic Who. But yeah, he's definitely growing on me. What else we got here? Excellent stuff as ever, Tony, mate. Keep up the great work and hope you're doing well. I'm doing just fine, mate, apart from wiping all my notes off this morning or last night or whatever it was. Apart from that, everything's peachy at the moment, so thanks for that, Sam, much appreciated. Enjoyed your unboxing video, by the way. The parcel you received from Stuart George, He's an amazing guy. I love his taste in movies. Absolutely love it. You can guarantee that if he does a video on a certain subject, he will usually pick out the movies that probably I would pick, or something very, very similar. And you are obviously well planted within the sort of the 70s and 80s and before with some of your choices. So it's just great to see these old movies getting a bit of exposure from younger heads, let's say. Um, but yeah, you've got some cracking titles there. Pet Cemetery, awful film. I mean, awful as in good. The Sixth Sense, brilliant. You never forget that ending, do you? Pirates, Roman Polanski. I need to check this one out. This is one that was always on the video shelf when I went to rent years and years ago. Never ever bothered with it. I could definitely do that one as a never seen. But from what you said, Stuart George pretty much hated it, which is why you ended up with it. And I don't think you thought too much of it either. But yes, I will be checking it out. I've already managed to snag a copy, so I'll be checking that out at some point. And Psychomania. You were in for such a treat with that. I know a lot of people slag it off and basically say it's stupid. It's supposed to be stupid. It's one of those early 70s biker zombie type flicks. It's just superb. Nicky Henson's in it, who was in Witchfinder General. You've got, is it Beryl Reid plays the mother? Can't remember. It's an awesome film, absolutely brilliant. And with that being said, this is this week's double bill. So we'll start with, here we go, Psychomania. That's my copy. I've seen this twice. The first time I thought it was okay. The second time I watched it, I got a real buzz out of it. I absolutely loved it, to the point where I'm sure I did a standalone review on the channel. I'm fairly sure of it. So if you trawl through some of my older ones, you'll probably find it there. But if not, I've definitely talked about it on one of the longer videos. But I thought this was an absolute doozy of a film. I loved it. If I remember right, it's to do with a group of bikers who take out a pact with the devil that basically says that if they kill themselves, they will come back as immortal. And it goes from there. And the funeral scene halfway through has got to be seen to be believed. I haven't laughed so hard at anything ever for a long, long time. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. And if I was sending this out on a double bill with another movie, as that is the aim of this, I pick a film out every week and basically say, you know, this is the movie that I would send it out on a double bill with. If I was sending it out with one, I would send it out with this one. This stars William Shatner, Ernest Borgnine, Tom Skerritt from Alien, and also a very early film role for John Travolta. I saw this many, many years ago. First of all on Super 8mm. I would love to see Super 8mm get the kind of resurgence that VHS is getting at the moment, along with vinyl. I would love to see that, and I'm so tempted to grab a couple of the old Super 8mm movies from eBay that I used to have years ago, i.e. Close Encounters, Saturday Night Fever, oh yes I know, and a couple of others maybe, but that's where I first saw this one, and then I believe I rented it on VHS when it came out. The Devil's Reign. This is basically about a group of Satanists laying siege to a ranch in the middle of nowhere. The ending of this has to be seen to be believed. If I remember correctly, it is eye-popping, and I mean that in the literal sense. This is an awesome film. It's also a forgotten film. I don't think there are many people that actually know that this even exists. But I loved it the first time I saw it, and I've loved it ever since. I haven't seen it for decades, but there is a Blu-ray that I've just spotted that is region free. I believe it's on Severin, and I think I'm going to order myself a copy. I think it's about 20 quid, but I wouldn't mind a copy of that. But yeah, if I was sending Psychomania out on a double bill, that is it. Psychomania and The Devil's Reign. So that's this week's double bill, thanks to Sam prompting that. So great to hear from you, mate. Always great to hear from you. Look forward to hearing from you hopefully next week. Callie, morning Callie, Saturday morning Tony time. Yes, I loved the Bravo channel. I've seen most of the Vixen films, though heavily edited, and like Guy said, they are funny, kind of like a more nudie version of the Carry On films. Is that what they're like? I have managed to grab copies of the first 3 or 4 Russ Meyer movies. They're not all Vixen films, but I'm just curious to go in chronological order with these. I was looking for a DVD box set, possibly even a Blu-ray box set, but they are outrageously expensive. So I've had to go down the download route, which is not something I enjoy doing anymore. I just don't get the kind of kick out of doing it that I used to do. So I tend not to do it now. If I can get them on sort of Blu-ray, DVD, or even streaming, I couldn't find any of them on streaming either. So I'm afraid that was the only avenue open to me. But I will be checking them out and I'll let you know. But they sound fascinating, real time capsules. Let's see. Another thing I remember from Bravo was that every Christmas they would show horror films on the 24th, and they called it Satan's Grotto. I don't remember that. I wished I had have known about that, because I'd have definitely been up for that one. Once a month movie shirts. There's another thread for you. That is going to happen. I'm fairly sure that's going to happen from the new year with a bit of luck. Robert Stack. As soon as I heard that name, my brain screamed. He did the voice of Ultra Magnus, and Guy will know what I mean. I hope so, because I haven't got a fucking clue what you're on about. I'm guessing it's something to do with Transformers or Masters of the Universe or something like that. You'll have to let me know. Batman Returns is definitely a Christmassy film. For me personally, it's one of those films you watch on the lead up to Christmas, sort of early December, to get you in the right kind of mood for Christmas. I need to take another look at it. In fact, I need to take a look at the whole Tim Burton trilogy, definitely, and also obviously the what's his name? I can't remember his bloody name. The other guy that did the other trilogy. I've got his. It'll come back to me when I'm not thinking about it. Speaking of that Mickey Rooney part from Breakfast at Tiffany's, I actually remember it more from the film Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. If you've seen it, you'll know what I mean. I've seen Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, but a long, long time ago, and I don't remember anything about that, but I would definitely be up for taking a look at it now just to see what that is all about. Absolutely. I'm still trying to think of that guy that directed the other Batman trilogy. I can't think of his name. He did Oppenheimer, didn't he? Is it Oppenheimer? Bloody hell, I hate it when this happens. This is why when I'm typing notes up at the last minute, this is basically what happens. On the topic of movie soundtracks, check out the Crow and Guardians of the Galaxy soundtracks, especially Guardians. I've heard about this. I think I've got this on Spotify, and I believe there are a lot of old 70s disco standards on there. So yes, I will be having a listen to that one, and I'll grab hold of the Crow at the same time. Jason Takes Manhattan. More like Jason Takes a Cruise. Is this an Al Pacino style cruise? If you've seen Cruising, you'll know what I mean. The Void is currently available on Prime, just saying. Glad you told me that. I will get that on my watch list. Taxi Driver is one of those films that I've caught bits of, but never sat and watched from start to finish. I've seen that film so many times, it never ever gets boring for me. I love it, absolutely adore it. De Niro is superb. It was definitely Martin Scorsese's finest hour. Absolutely. On the Creature from the Black Lagoon remake, that has my interest now. It's got mine as well. Great fan of the original from 1955. It was on a lot late Friday nights. ATV, as it was back then, did a season of movies called Appointment with Fear. And they would usually put either a Hammer film on or a Universal monster movie, and the Creature from the Black Lagoon turned up regularly in that slot. So I'm definitely curious to find out what they're going to do with such an old movie. The Warriors game is basically the film's storyline with backstories added for each of the gang members and how they joined the gang. Well worth a play. I wouldn't know what to do with it. I've actually got a small computer console that somebody bought me for Christmas years and years ago, with Space Invaders, Phoenix, and all that sort of thing. I play it every now and then because that is all I know. All I know about computer games is right, left, and fire, and that's it. All of this, you know, you've got to crawl along the ground, but you need to do that by press. No, sorry, no. I'll show that if I remember on. I think on next week I'll drag it. It's in this cupboard right next to me. I'm sure it is. Just to see what you think about it. Let's see. Thank you for the love, Fun. I'm slowly getting there. You know me. No matter how dark things get in my head, I always find my way back to the light, like Carol Ann. I know you do, and I admire you for being that way because I'm not very good with stuff like that. I tend to wallow in bad moods and stuff like that every now and then, and I shouldn't do. I should just rise above it. I'm supposed to be the king of positive thinking. I listen to like positive affirmations in the morning and all sorts of stuff. It doesn't happen very often now, but I do get days, obviously, when it's things are not going well. I nearly I sort of succumbed to it this morning when I saw that blank sort of the notes had disappeared. I was not impressed at all, but I thought, you know what, you can't change it, just move on and do it again. But yeah, I do get what you mean, and I'm really pleased that you're finding your way back to the light. I'm going to have to run now. It's my daughter's birthday tomorrow, and I've got a lot to sort. Another great episode so far, Hunt. I'll watch the rest later. Oh, and on the subject of Monopoly, I have Ghostbusters Monopoly. If anyone's up for a game. Is there anything they've not made a Monopoly set for? I didn't know there was a Ghostbusters one. I believe there's a Bond one, which I wouldn't mind. But it seems like every single movie franchise or every single subject, Monopoly has done a game for it. Hats off to them. They must be making billions. So thanks for that, Callie. Much appreciated. Always brilliant to hear from you. And look forward to hearing from you next week. Jason P. Let's see. I've got 9 minutes. That should be enough for this. Ooh, late one tonight. I was watching that big dosser Joshua getting put in his place. This has got to be the boxing match that's been all over the bloody TV for the last 2-3 days. Did you mean tosser, by the way? Because that's what it reminded me of. Great vid as always, Tony. Cheers, Jay. The Towering Inferno. I've watched a few films this week that were made before CGI. These are obviously for the never seen thread, but have to say the effects were really good. We'll look forward to finding out what they are. As for never seen, you may have noticed that this week is week 38. I've removed the 50 bit off, as it will continue. I have enough to take us until the end of March at the minute. It will grow, but I doubt if I'll get to 100. Never say never. There's no reason to stop it. There must be thousands of movies out there that you've not seen. There's absolutely no reason to stop it. It just involves watching a movie you've not seen before and writing a few lines on it. Says me. Railwayman and Unbroken. Railwayman and Unbroken are brilliant but hard watches. But it's a true story, so you can't go into it half-assed. You may as well do a double bill of these to get it over with. Not selling it to me. You're quite right, Mark. You probably will end up with the Railwayman. I can see it coming because I don't think I'm going to want to watch it more than once. The same with Unbroken. And you're absolutely right, Jay. Maybe I should just do excuse me, a double bill one day and just get them watched, and then I can forget them. I have my Chinese from New World in Newell. We were talking about takeaways. They will deliver to you as my mate uses them, and he lives around the corner from you. He said it's the best Chinese around and always piping hot when delivered, which is important. The food is really nice. I have a takeaway once a month and it's always a Chinese. I fetch it myself as it's only 5 minutes away. Just writing this is making my mouth water. I can imagine if you didn't order from Papa John's one week, they would call the police because they would think something was wrong. I've often thought this, I've often thought that, if we just suddenly decided, let's give it a break for a week and just have some toast or something, I'm fairly sure at some point somebody at the Staple store would be thinking, 21 Malvern Street haven't ordered this week. I wonder if everything's okay. The road I mentioned that I guessed This is when we were talking about driving through woodland. Um, because I've said the same thing. It is so dark and eerie. I'm 99% sure it was the panther that I saw. The tail was 3 foot from the floor and as thick as a snake. Can you imagine breaking down and running into that thing in the middle of the? Oh God, no! Don't even bear thinking about. But it gets worse. And you say you would shit yourself if there was someone in the road as you drove down on a dark night. I would. Well, about 20 to 25 years ago, I was travelling from Newborough to Yoxall on the A515 at about 1 a.m. in the morning, when suddenly, as I drove over the brow of the hill, there was about 50 animal protesters dressed as animals and grim reapers walking on the roadside. I don't know. I'd have probably had a heart attack at the wheel or something. Just the thought of that. Just thinking about that, it sounds like something out of a Wicker Man, and that's terrifying enough as it is. To say I shit myself was an understatement. The girl I was with at the time screamed her head off. My heart was beating like I can imagine she did. My heart was beating like mad. Fuck me, I wasn't expecting that. I had to swerve around them. My heart was still pounding when I got home. If you remember, these are the sick bastards that dug up the dead mother of the owner of the animal testing farm from Yoxall churchyard and refused to give her body back until they stopped testing on animals. Sounds unbelievable, but it happened. I must admit, I was doubtful on that, and then you sent me the link from the Guardian. It did happen, and it was just horrifying. You know what? I get that they do these things, and it's a good thing that they do, saving animals and this, that, and the other. But there are ways to do things, and that was definitely a bridge too far for me. When I read about that, I thought, seriously. Re-wetting myself at Lethal Weapon 3 on sell-through. Lethal Weapon 1 and 2 were at the time my favourite films of all time, still are. It's just that now 3 and 4 are added to that list. So imagine not having to wait a year to buy Lethal Weapon 3 and I could buy it for $9.99 on the day of release. Excited or what? I do get it. I'm the same. It doesn't happen very often, but I'm already looking forward to hopefully picking up a copy of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes within the next few days. Either that or ordering it off Amazon, and obviously I will look forward to it coming through, and I'll be taking a look at that one when I've taken in the original trilogy. Let's see, you've bought more films blind in a week than I've done in 10 years. Oh God, tell me about it. It just gets worse, and it's got to stop. It has seriously got to stop. I've got a stack here of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 11. I made my mind up quite a while ago that I was going to, if I was going to buy discs, I would buy as many as I was watching and giving away, if that makes any sense. And I think that's now what I've got to start doing. So hopefully I'm going to make October, I'm basically going to limit myself to 1/2 a week, because I have got far too many. Way too many. That's the plan anyway, is to limit myself to 1 or 2 a week in October. Wean myself off it a little bit, then we can have something like no by November. See how that works out. But it's getting out of hand. All I seem to be doing is holding them up, showing them, chucking them on the shelf and forgetting them, and that's not good. As you say, it's a waste of money, and it is a lot of this. Even though I know I'm going to watch them, finding the time to actually watch this. But when am I going to watch 12 films? I find it difficult to watch 1 or 2 a week. So you are absolutely right. Absolutely loved The Invisible Man. Save it for October or Halloween night. I thought it would be shit. Watched it and immediately ordered the Blu-ray. This is what everybody's told me, that it's a brilliant adaptation of the story. So yeah, I'm going to be taking a look at that. Have a great week. Toodle pip. Toodle pip. Jay. Never seen it. Week 38. Silkwood from 1983. I love this film. A worker at a plutonium processing plant is purposefully contaminated, psychologically tortured and possibly murdered to prevent her from exposing worker safety violations at the plant. Cracking movie. This one I've noticed is on the BBC every year, so I thought I'd give it a watch. I've never even read the synopsis before. The title just put me off. I thought this would be just one of those movies that I watch and plod through just to say I've seen it. To my surprise, I thought this was really, really good and loads better than I thought it would be. I'd definitely watch it again. Mark said he'd never heard of it. That's becoming kind of a tradition, isn't it, Mark? Every film I think that Jason's picked for his never seen thread, you've never heard of it. Looking forward to hearing what your next one is going to be, by the way, Mark. Really looking forward to that. So yeah, Silkwood. I'm definitely due for a rewatch of that. And if it turns up on BBC iPlayer, I will definitely have a look at it. Other than that, I will be trying to find a copy at some point. Maybe one of my 1/2 a week in October. I can do that with. So, thanks ever so much for that, Jace. Brilliant comments as per usual, and we will chat again next week. Right, I've got a little bit more to get through, but not too much, so I'll be back in a couple of seconds. And we're back. Right, into the final furlong, guys. You have no idea how close I came this morning to just blowing bollocks. And we're back. Right, we're into the bloody balls. And we're back. Right, definitely into the final furlong, guys. You have no idea how close I came this morning to just blowing this off completely. As soon as I saw those notes had disappeared, I thought, oh, this is just going to go so badly. But it's actually not been too bad. I think the way forward with this actually is to break the notes down into 2 days, maybe record half an hour on a Saturday before all the comments come in, and do all the comments as a separate thing on a Sunday, cobble them together like I always do, just to basically save doing a full hour or an hour and a half on a Sunday. I don't know, we'll see how we go. But yeah, it was close this morning, it really was. So right, I've just got a few more bits to get through before I love you and leave you. Quick review. I've been meaning to watch this for ages. I know Donna, my colleague, enjoyed this. Mark, you're a big fan of this movie. You thought it was brilliant. Talk to me. I've been meaning to watch it for a long time, but due to other people's reviews and, yes, the parents' guide on the IMDb, the things I read and heard about this movie, I thought, I'm not going to make it past certain scenes. I can now safely say that I've watched the whole thing all the way through. It was grim, it was bleak, there was no happy ending in this one, but I made it through it. It wasn't quite as horrifying as I thought it would be, although the scene with the table and the eyeball literally made me sort of, whoa, oh, bloody hell, oh, fucking hell. Even though I was expecting it, I knew exactly what was coming. Poor old Riley. What can I say? That poor boy. Oh my God. Would I watch it again? Maybe, yeah. It was a really well done horror film. It's Australian as well, so it can quite easily count as my first tentative steps into Australian cinema. And rather than starting off with a classic like Waking Fright, which is going to be the next one I take on, I thought, you know what, we'll go bang up today. Everybody's been asking me about this movie. Have you watched it yet? Have you watched it yet? No. So I thought, let's get this one watched. It's one of those, a bit like you were saying earlier, Jace, with Unbroken and The Railway Man. It's a bit like ripping a plaster off, just quick, do it. So I did it, and I did enjoy it, but it was not, there was no fun in there at all. A lot of Australian movies, you get a real streak of humour running through it, typical Australian humour, I suppose. But this one had none of that. I will say that the portrayal of Australian youth was very good, very good. I can't remember her name. The girl that played the lead, she was absolutely superb, and the girl that played the mother, my God, what a frightening woman she was! Bloody hell. I thought it was really good. So yeah, I enjoyed Talk to Me. I would probably watch it again, um, minus the eyeball scene probably. It was just, yeah, typical Australian horror. It was gnarly, it was nasty, it was violent in parts, but overall, I thought it was a really, really good movie and a very promising debut for the two directors, which I believe they started out making YouTube videos, YouTube shorts. So to have progressed to that and done such a cracking job, they've got quite a career ahead of them. And I have heard rumours on a couple of the Australian sites, funnily enough, that a sequel is in the works. Um, I'm hoping it's not going to be an origin story, because part of the fascination with the hand itself is the fact that you don't really know where it comes from, and that's what kind of makes it interesting. It's just been passed down from person to person, and nobody seems to know where it's come from. So I kind of hope they don't do an origin story. I hope they do kind of a direct sequel, maybe a prequel. But yeah, I would say Talk to Me. If I was marking it out of 10, I'd definitely give it an 8. Absolutely. A little bit over violent for me, but I made it through it, and I'm really glad that I did finally. So, um, right, what else have I got here? I'm still looking into the rumour, by the way. This is mostly for Callie because she brought it up last week. The rumour that the truck from the movie Duel is still sitting at the bottom of the canyon that it crashed in way back in 1971 when the movie was made. There are people saying that the truck is actually still there. I've found a video that's about half an hour long. I just need to watch it, of a guy that actually went in search of it. So I will come back to that one hopefully next week. Callie, you also mentioned a series called Sci-Fi Boys on Prime, which is the history of special effects on movies. I'm going to add that to my watch list. What else have I got here? Just bear with me. Shows that I grew up with. Not gone for a kids show this week. Put me cup down. I've gone for a cop show. American cop shows in the 70s were just the best. I adored watching the likes of Kojak, McCloud, Macmillan and Wife, Columbo. And then you got the action ones, which were sort of Starsky and Hutch. And this one, which I absolutely loved, Charlie's Angels. I prefer the original lineup, which was the first season. You got Farrah Fawcett, Jacqueline Smith, and Kate Jackson. They were the original 3 Charlie's Angels, and I think every subsequent series that came after that, they changed one or all of them. But this original series was absolutely superb. Loved it. Some classic stories in there. I bought this, must be 10 years ago. I don't think I've yet watched it. So I do need to take a look at this. But you've got all sorts on here. The original pilot, all 22 episodes. Let's see, there's an Angels Forever featurette. That's the back of it. I would love to get a box set of every single series, and I'm sure Jason's shouting at the screen, "You haven't watched this one yet." And you're quite right, so I probably will leave that. I've actually got season 2 upstairs, but after that, I think it kind of lost its shine a bit after that. But for me, this original lineup of Farrah Fawcett, Kate Jackson, and Jacqueline Smith made it superb. Absolutely loved it. So that's my show I grew up with this week. Remember this? I'm getting through it. My first 6 movies are listed there. Now I've seen 3 already. I've watched Deadpool 2. I've watched the Outlaw Josie Wales and Attack the Block. So I'm going to be writing notes on those in this. I've got 3 left to do before the end of this month. The Crazies, The Hangover, the original, and Waking Fright, that Australian shocker. So I just wanted you to know that I have not abandoned this. That is definitely coming into play, and it's definitely making things a lot easier. And I get that Talk to Me isn't on there, but everybody's been on at me to watch that one. So I thought, you know what, we'll jump that one to the top of the queue and we'll get that one sorted. And I'm really pleased that I did. So right, a couple of bits and pieces that I bought. Remember the mugs that I showed you last week? I've got a couple more. I need one more to fill the little mug tree that I've got in the kitchen. First one, 2 of my favourite films, The Stud and The Bitch. That's a lovely little mug. I love this. Am I actually going to be using any of these? Very, very likely. At the moment, as you know, I'm still using the one that I actually made, or actually have made, the Retro Movie Zone mug that I've had for years. This is my main mug. And the other one that I got through this week, I had to get this one. The second I saw it, I had to have it. Obviously, Close Encounters. Isn't that a thing of beauty? Am I going to be using this one? You bet your ass I am. But I think that's gorgeous. Loved it. There's also a coaster on eBay, Close Encounters coaster. I can see myself ordering that. There's only one more that I really, really want now. There's quite a few from this seller that I wouldn't mind. But the one that I really want, and it's not on there, is Saturday Night Fever. So I've got to email him. I'm centralising myself, just bear with me. There you go. I'm going to email him and ask whether it is on there, and I just can't find it because there are literally hundreds on there. He's got folk horror mugs, bands. I want to try and get Rob a Human League one for Christmas. There is one listed on the printed list, but I can't find it on his shop, so I will be asking about that one. But there's so many movies. I could build a collection of just movie-related mugs, but they're the two latest. I've got a few. Oh, here we go. Blu-rays and DVDs to show off, and I will not be showing as many of this off in October. I will be doing my very best to stick to the 1 or 2 a week rule that I'm going to be setting for myself. The first one, I know you said not to buy any more, Guy, but I've got most of the classic Who on DVD. So being a completist, up until the end of, say, the Tom Baker era, I would like all of them. Not so much fussed about Peter Davison. I probably will just watch those on iPlayer. Same with the Sylvester McCoy and the Colin Baker and all the modern Doctor Who. But the classics I would like on disc because I've got most of them anyway, and they will make a very nice collection when I get them onto a bookshelf. But I'm one episode in on that. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I've definitely made the right decision skipping the animated adventures. I will be getting them, but I'll be watching them as a completely separate entity. I may even just watch those on iPlayer as well. But I would like all of the complete stories on DVD, so that's basically what I'm going to do. Right, some Blu-rays. First one, I can't remember what made me order this. I was looking at... What was I looking at? I must have been looking at something on Amazon and spotted this and thought, I've not seen that for years. Women in Love. This is an adaptation of a D.H. Lawrence novel. It's quite sexually explicit. It got an X certificate when it came out due to a nude wrestling scene between Oliver Reed and Alan Bates. Aside from that, I'm not sure because it's been so long since I've seen it. It's a long film as well, 131 minutes. So it's sort of over 2 hours and 10 minutes long. But it's one I remember watching many, many years ago and really, really enjoying it. Mostly because of the notoriety that surrounded it and the controversy, the howls of outrage that that came with it when it was first released. What year was it released? Was it 1971? 69. So I can imagine a nude wrestling scene between two guys would have been pretty much... it's just something that never happened in movies, but it did with this one. So I'm looking forward to having another look at that. The kids are all right. Somebody was talking about this on a group that I was on during the week and basically saying that it's the best rock documentary ever. Now, I like The Who. I love the movies they made. I love the albums that they did or the ones that I've got. But I've never seen this. And if I have seen it, it was so long ago. So I thought for £3, I'll grab a copy of this. It's a documentary basically about their rise to fame and the fall. It's made up mostly of clips of the songs, clips of interviews, that kind of thing. But I reckon that's going to be really entertaining. I'm going to enjoy that one. This one was mentioned in an Australian podcast that I was listening to. This is going to be part of my Australian journey. Jason K, our Ginger Ninja, I think you'll recognise this one, Dead End Driving. I got it into my head when I first read about this quite a while ago that it was something to do with literally a drive-in cinema, and I thought it was going to be an anthology of horror, that kind of thing, but it's not. It's very much in the vein of Mad Max, mostly Mad Max 3 Beyond Thunderdome, from what I've heard. But I heard a discussion on a podcast about this movie. They were raving about it, introducing little clips from it, and it sounded amazing. So I thought, I've got to have that. And this is an Arrow release, so it's got loads on it in the way of documentaries and featurettes, that kind of thing. It's directed by Brian Trenchard Smith, who's one of the legends of Ozploitation movies. So, Jason, I'm fairly sure that you have definitely have heard of this, and you've probably seen it as well. But I'm looking forward to watching that. Another Australian movie. I've been meaning to get hold of this one for ages. I'm a big fan of Robert Powell, loved him in Jesus of Nazareth, the 39 Steps. His voice is hypnotic, and he stars in this one with David Hemmings, Harley Quinn. I watched the trailer to this on YouTube, knowing nothing about it. I believe it was released around about 1980. I do remember the poster for this, as it appeared at Burton Odeon. Didn't go to see it. Don't think I was old enough, just about, but I didn't go to see it. And I've wanted to see it ever since. And every now and then it crops up on a list of classic Australian movies. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to try and grab that. And I grabbed this one. I think it was about £11. Really looking forward to watching that. The trailer looks insane. Next one. This is one that Mark speaks of very, very highly. I was basically talking about how much I'd enjoyed The Outlaw Josie Wales last week, and basically saying that it's given me a taste for westerns that I didn't probably have before, having only seen The Magnificent Seven, Shane, some of the classic ones, and also the Dollars trilogy, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I believe I've also seen High Plains Drifter a long time ago. Mark, you recommended this one, so I thought that I'm going to trust him on this one. 310 to Yuma. I know very, very little about it. I've not even read the back, but you spoke so highly of this. I thought, you know what, I'm going to take a look at that. I'll probably do this as one of my first watch movies. So looking forward to getting a look at that one. And Mark, this one is also not so much aimed at you, but this is something that Callie brought up last week. We were talking about body horror. And Callie said that the particular scene I was referring to in this movie, this Blu-ray has actually got a making of documentary which is over 2 hours long. And basically, when she says that when you see how that scene was done, it is not as gross. The Fly. This is David Cronenberg. You remember David Cronenberg, don't you, Mark? That lovely beer. You did make me laugh with that. That made me fucking howl. This, I thought, was one of the nastiest, gnarliest, goriest films I think I'd ever seen at the time. Released in 1986. Jeff Goldblum, Gina Davis. It's a brilliant movie. If it weren't for that one arm break sequence, I would have watched this a lot more than I have done. But every time I've started watching it, as soon as it gets to the bit where he bursts out of the lab, that's it. I'm out of it. So I've very rarely got past the sequence where he's arm wrestling with that big geezer and his arm just breaks. But apparently if I watch the making of, when I see how it's done, it's not quite so nasty. So I'm going to trust you on that one, Callie, and I'll let you know what I think when I've watched it. Two here. Here's another one from 101 Films. This is another one that I bet Jason's seen. Spookies. Saw the trailer for this and also a couple of scenes from it on YouTube and thought, I remember that being in the video shop, and I remember it being quite popular when it came out. And there was a copy on Amazon for $11.99, so I thought, you know what, fuck it, I'll grab that. It's got, what swung it for me was, you have also got Vipco, The Untold Story, as part of the extras. That's a 90-minute plus documentary on the Vipco label, which released a lot of the video nasties in the 70s and 80s. So as soon as I saw that on there, I thought, you know what, it's going to be worth the cost of the disc just for that itself. So Jason Kerr, our Ginger Ninja, I bet you've seen that one. And I've got two here that were inspired by watching Gareth's Cynthia Rothrock interview. This is the one that I've wanted to see for a long, long time. This is the only one I know of Cynthia Rothrock, China O'Brien. This also includes China O'Brien 2, which I'm told isn't as good, but I'm fairly sure that I'll get a bit of a kick out of it. No pun intended. But yeah, out of all the movies that Cynthia Rothrock's done that I've never heard of, this is the only one that springs to mind. So I thought, you know what, I'll grab a copy of that. So I'm looking forward to taking a look at both of those. And this one, you basically mentioned the fight scene at the end of it, and the way you were talking about it and the way Cynthia was talking about it, I thought, you know what, I've got to see that one. Yes, madam. Again, know nothing about it. Michelle Yeoh is in it. Is it pronounced Yeoh? Yeoh. But basically she's in it. I remember her mostly from Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is that wonderful sort of martial arts fantasy amalgamation that went straight over my head. It meant absolutely nothing to me. I sat through all 2 hours and 15-20 minutes of it. It made absolutely zero sense. Entertaining, but would I watch it again? Absolutely not. But this one is a different kettle of fish. I've heard the fight scene at the end of this is just, it elevates the movie to masterpiece, is what I've heard. So I'm looking forward to taking a look at that. So thanks, Gareth, for the recommendation on that. And finally, a book. I didn't realise this geezer had written a book. I was listening again to a podcast, my favourite one when I go walking, which is Real Britannia. And I was listening to one about the movie McVicar. And they referred constantly to a book that he wrote. And I thought, I had no idea he'd written a book. There it is, McVicar, by himself, written by John McVicar. This is the movie tie-in, because obviously it says now major film at the bottom there. Not started it yet, but I love these old paperbacks. Look, the yellowed pages, look. That's well read. So this is supposedly the true story of what the film or the movie was based on. So I'm looking forward to getting into that. That is everything, folks. That is all for this week. As I say, I came so close to just thinking this morning, do you know what, can I really be bothered to type all those notes out again? Shall I just come up with an excuse and say I can't do it? But I'm really glad that I did, because this is obviously the highlight of my week, and I mean that most sincerely. I truly do. I enjoy sitting here chatting with you guys, knowing that you're on the other side of this, listening to me, taking in my every word, hanging on my every word. God knows why, but you do, and I'm so grateful that you do. As I've said before, I never ever take for granted what we've got here. It's absolutely amazing. It really is. And the fact that we are all talking to each other via posts and videos, I love it. I absolutely love it. And I don't think I will ever give this up now. But it came bloody close this morning, I'm telling you. So, right, have a brilliant week, folks. The rain has finally stopped, I think, and the sun is trying to come out. So fingers crossed we'll get some decent weather. I've got more to go at next week. There's a couple of bits that I didn't do this week, but I figure that I'll wrap this up now while I'm ahead. So have a brilliant week, folks. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you all so much for following the channel, for watching the videos, for listening to me prattle on for hours on end about things that I know bugger all about. I am so grateful to have you guys. I tell you now, so brilliant you all are. As I say, thank you so much for joining me. Have a brilliant week, and I will be back with you around the same time next week. Fingers crossed. No, come hell or high water, if I can get through what happened this morning, believe me, there's not much that can faze me. So whatever happens, I will find a way around it. But I will be back with you one way or another next week. Take care. Have an amazing week, folks, and thank you again. Take care. Ta-da.